Viewers, in a move that's drawing diplomatic fire, Turkey's President Erdogan has embraced Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif just weeks after India's punishing strikes in Operation Sindoor. The message, well, it's a clear message that a dangerous solidarity against India's national interest, hand in hand, like Bonnie and Clyde. Just look at the image on your TV screens right now. Well, this is exactly what we are talking about. From Bayraktar drones to Milgem warships, Turkey's weaponry is fueling a regime that harbors terrorists across its borders. That's the image, the video on your screens that I was referring to. This is not defiance. This is not defense cooperation. It's strategic provocation. This isn't Turkey's first anti-India signal. From 2019's post-Balakot rants to recent calls for international probes into Indian counter-terror operations, Ankara is echoing Islamabad's propaganda. From ground handling contracts to Turkish chocolates, India's unofficial boycott has begun. National sentiment is speaking louder than diplomacy, and Turkey may soon start feeling the cost of standing with a terror sponsor. Why do we say this? Well, only Turkey, Azerbaijan and China, that is just these three countries, Turkey, Azerbaijan and China, have actually sided with Pakistan compared to over 200 countries who came to support of India after Prime Minister Modi's clarion call, solidarity against terror has its price. And for Turkey and Pakistan, well, the bill is coming due. And before I get in the guest joining me this evening, I want to quickly put forth the big questions that we always ask as far as this dangerous, deadly nexus is concerned. The Istanbul, Islamabad nexus. Turkey backing Pakistan, or is it actually betting against India? That's the first question that we are putting out. Second, which is that when does defense cooperation actually cross into provocation? That's the second big question. Let's put that out. The third key question, why is Ankara echoing Islamabad's narrative? What is it that Turkey stands to gain? We're going to decode that. Is Erdogan's support strategic, or is there more to it? Is he just being reckless? If it's strategic, what are the end goals of Istanbul in this nexus? And will this alliance cost Turkey more than what it actually stands to gain? That's some of the questions that we're going to try and get answers to. Ashok Sajjanhar joins me on the broadcast. We'll try and connect with Sidharth Raimedhi also in just a bit. Ambassador Sajjanhar, let me start by asking you the questions that we are posing. At the end of the day, what is Turkey's end goal here?
Yeah, thank you very much, Gaurie, for having me on the show. You know what Turkey wants really, as far as the emerging changes in the geopolitics is concerned, to be the leader of the Muslim Ummah. And you see, it has opposition from the traditional leader of the Muslim Ummah, that is Saudi Arabia, because, it has the biggest cards up its sleeve. It has both the holy sites, Mecca and Medina. So that gives it a huge head start. And of course, in terms of prosperity, in terms of the well-being, it is much better placed. So what it finds is that Pakistan is a good candidate to have on its side. It has a 200 million plus population of Muslims. It also has a nuclear weapon. So it thinks that, by keeping Pakistan on its own side, it will be able to get a head start in this. But I think it is very sadly mistaken if its calculations are based on such considerations, because Pakistan is a failing state. We see what are the problems in the country economically, politically, security-wise. And, whatever Asim Munir might have sought to do by the Pahalgam attack and then the conflict with India, I think none of it has helped it, because we have seen that all this violence and instability within the country is increasing. So I don't think it is going to help Erdogan at all. Gaurie.
And ever since Erdogan came to power about 22 years back, the relationship between Turkey and Pakistan has actually it has increased manifold, the ties have deepened, whether it's on the political side, alignment of strategic interests, or it is the military engagement as well. And in fact, on our screens, we are putting out some of the military closeness between the two sides in terms of Pakistan actually being the second largest purchaser of Turkish weaponry. I want to understand from you that at this stage, Turkey is the only West Asian country, the large country, to be standing by Pakistan at a time when global interest, global support is firmly backing New Delhi. What's in it for it to be as isolated as Pakistan?
Yeah, it is. You're right. It has pitched its, laid all its bets as far as Pakistan is concerned. With it, I think it also finds, as I mentioned earlier, that it is Islam which draws it towards Pakistan. Also, it finds that it has China for company in supporting Pakistan. And it is not, if you remember, that even earlier when these three countries, Turkiye, Pakistan and Malaysia, they wanted to have a meeting amongst themselves in 2019, basically, against, which was designed to be against Saudi Arabia. So then also Turkey had gone because it tries to find candidates. It finds very few of them out of the 50 plus Islamic countries who will be willing to stand up against Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely.
And so it finds Pakistan is one of those.
Let's hold your thought there, sir. I want to quickly get in Sidharth as well, who's a fellow at CSDR, joining me on the broadcast. Sidharth Raimedhi, how do you read the Pakistan-Turkey relationship that has actually now increased because of common strategic interests? The messaging here, with the handshake, with the video, that Shehbaz Sharif is actually telling the world that you can keep giving me IMF loans, I'm going to keep doing terror sponsoring the cross-border terror, and I'm going to keep embracing Turkey. That's really the message that Shehbaz Sharif is sending.
Yes, right. So I think the modern genesis of Turkey-Pakistan relation in its present form, which is somewhat of a nuisance for India, did begin around 2018 to 20. It has both, as Ambassador Sajjanhar had mentioned, it has a pan-Islamic ideology element, and the competition with Saudi Arabia is definitely the starting point. And it's interesting that even though Turkey is engaging in its own rapprochement with Saudi Arabia, they have pragmatic relations, they've done military exercises together, even with Pakistan over the last few years, but the ideological agenda still remains. And that will drive Turkey's relations forward. If you recall, in 2020, the speech that he gave in Pakistan Parliament, he made it very clear, Erdogan, how much Kashmir and the issue of Kashmir for him and for Turkey is a core agenda. I mean, it, of course, in international politics cannot be, but he still signaled his strong resolve. And hence, it will be a bit challenging for India to wean Turkey away from this pursuit. Now, Pakistan also comes in handy as a defense buyer. And when Turkish economy was really struggling in 2020,
put out some of those graphics. Let's put out some of those graphics about Turkey's weaponry being bought by Pakistan. So yes, there is religious alignment, as the two guests are saying. There is economic alignment, and at the same time, there are strategic goals that are coming in together. You're mentioning about the weapons. I want to take this up further by saying that how do you read the fact that during Operation Sindoor, Pakistan got weaponry primarily from China and the drones from Turkey, all of which was busted and decimated very comprehensively by India during Operation Sindoor? How do you see that panning out in this defense relationship?
So the way I see it panning out is that India will pursue greater preparedness from here on. We succeeded in our counter drone operations, but we will also prepare for the next round for sure. And that will be done in anticipation of the fact that both Turkey and China will also double down on their military supply to Pakistan. I think that is for sure. And they are both seeing Pakistan as a very lucrative defense market for them, and an ability to project their weapons for military exposed to various countries around the world. And hence, we're seeing a lot of the information warfare, especially from China's side, is to use this as a test bed, right, for their military exports. So, but I think if India significantly increases its defense expenditure, the other thing that India should highlight and do is that show that Kashmiris do not need Erdogan to speak for them, that he's simply trying to exploit whatever hopes and fears they may have. And I think that's a trend, again, which is in India's favor over the next few years. And the
Okay,
more we are able to show that Kashmiris are voting, they are benefiting from tourism footfall and all of
absolutely.
that, then the casus belli of Turkey's intervention or Turkey's wanting to be a champion becomes hollow, right, over time.
Absolutely. Turkey wants to be a counter to Saudi Arabia, but in the process, what it's now going to be receiving is the boycott campaign from India that's only going to intensify. Remember, this is a campaign started and being felt by people, common people of India, people like you and me, our viewers who are watching this, who are appalled by what Turkey wants to do, supporting cross-border terrorism. No weddings happening in Turkey as far as Indians are concerned. They don't want a vacation in Turkey, and that's just the beginning of what could be $1 billion consumption pipeline being lost. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this edition of India Global.